Hi, everybody. This is Avrohom Czapnik from the Jewish Learning Exchange. I hope you and yours are well. This week's Torah portion is Parshat Vayikra, the first portion in Chumash Vayikra, the third of the 5 books of the Torah, the book of Leviticus. And the question we have to ask ourselves is God in our life? Unfortunately, there's some people who don't believe in God at all. But there are others who have an idea that God is in charge, He's the boss, and when things don't go the way we want, we realize that, you know what, that's what God is doing. God's in charge. We have to make our efforts, and the rest is up to Him. I remember my mother of blessed memory. She had a very beautiful voice, and she would sing a famous song, I think. When I was just a little girl, I'd ask my mother, will I be pretty? Will I be rich? And she would say, Sarah, Sarah, whatever will be, will be. The future is not ours to see. And really, the truth is that that's correct, because we're not in charge. We can make our efforts, but ultimately God is in charge. But then there's another level, and that is that not only in the theory, but in the practical, to see that God's in our lives. There's an interesting verse in the Torah portion this week. It talks about a person who someone asks him to watch something of his, and the person, unfortunately, is unscrupulous and wants to keep it. And the verse tells us if a person will sin and commit a treason against God and be deceitful toward his fellow regarding a pledge. So the question is, wait a second, how's it against God, or is it against a person? It seems like it's just against a person. And Rashi explains beautifully and says, when a person loans someone money, there's witnesses, there's documents. Here, it's just he's trusting this fellow, so it's just between 3 people. The person who's giving the item to the person to watch, the person who's watching it, and God, not a person, obviously. So that's when you deny the existence. Oh, you didn't give me anything. No, I don't have it. Or I'm not me. Then it's really an affront not only to the person, but also to God. And that's an important idea to realize, that really all commandments, even the ones between man, obviously the commandments between man and God, obviously is an insult to God if we don't do it. But commandments between man and fellow man are also an insult to God. And the idea is that we should remember that we should try to live with God. And it's fascinating to note that many prisoners in Gaza, the Jewish prisoners that Hamas took, many of them, though raised secular, many of them found comfort in God, even in the worst circumstances, and realized that that's their anchor. That's someone who they have to turn to. And that's realizing that God is, and many Jews throughout Israel are being reconnected to their Judaism, because they realize, all the things that we rely on, that didn't work. We have to rely on a higher power. There's a very sweet story about, I think, the Chavetz Chaim, that he was in a wagon, and the wagon driver was hungry, and he saw a beautiful apple tree hanging out from a private person's garden. And he says, oh, I'm really hungry. I want one of those. And he turned to the Chavetz Chaim and says, can you do me a favor? Take a look. Tell me if anybody's looking, because I want to grab some apples because I'm really hungry. And the man is about to reach up to pull an apple from the tree, and the Chavetz Chaim says, he's watching! And the man quickly jumps up onto the wagon and rides away. And he turns back and says, there's nobody there. And the Chavetz Chaim says, no, but God is watching. Living with the idea that God is always watching us and we're in God's presence is an important idea, not only in the theoretical, but in the practical. And to live with God every moment of our lives and every moment of our day is something that makes our life more meaningful and will help us to be the best that we can be. Years ago, it took tremendous faith for a person to say, oh, God sees everything everybody's doing. How could that be? How could He watch everybody? But now today, there's cameras all over. Everyone's watching. It can be watched all over the place. So God also has His cameras on all of us. And He has His microphones. So He hears what we say and how we say it. And living with God is a beautiful idea. And actually, we say this, excuse me, many synagogues have this at the front, in the front of the synagogue, Shivisi Hashem Leneg Samid, place God before us all the time. And if we, excuse me, and if we live with God, our lives will be more meaningful and more real, and we'll be on our best behavior. The King is watching, and the King is always watching. And may we be inspired by the Almighty's presence in our lives to talk with refinement, to act with graciousness, to act with honesty, and to be the best that we can be. Have a wonderful Shabbos, and may the hostages and the soldiers be protected, and everyone come home safely soon. All the best.